What's up, people? Welcome to the Brian Reveal Show. Hope happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a good day, or evening. I should say. Hope you had a good day, and I hope you're having an even better evening. As you can see, I have a special guest this evening.
Hello.
Absolutely, everybody, welcome Kelsey to the party. What's up,
Hi,
Kelsey?
everybody. I'm
How you doing?
good. I'm good, good,
How
good.
you doing? Good.
Yes.
How was your day?
Long, long. You would need a whole show just dedicated to my day, so it's very long.
Absolutely. Yeah, mine was a little long too. Not just because I had a whole lot of things to do. I think that, for me it's kind of about just the anticipation of everything that I'm working on. What's up, Nikki? What's up, everybody coming in? Y'all come in. Y'all share the live too. Share the live. For me, it's been kind of one of these scenarios where, I just got it's a lot on my plate and I want to be able to make sure I take care of everything. I'm a little bit of a taskmaster. So as
Okay.
I'm going through my day and my week and I got all of this stuff on my brain, it's like, shit,
Right.
sometimes you need some help, but you got to do it. Hey, they say if you don't know someone who knows how to do it for you and they fuck it up, they do something real crazy, you do it yourself, right?
Exactly. Nobody
Absolutely.
knows how you want it, how you do.
There you go. Absolutely. But listen, first of all, thank you everybody for coming in again. Please share the live. We got a lot of great conversation tonight. And we're going to kick this off with, our trending topics. If you've paid attention to, the dynamic that's been going on for, God knows how many days this week. Our topics today are pretty much going to be focused on Black culture. Um, so much to talk about, so much to examine, so much to break down, and not just what's happening in the media tonight, but also we're going to have a conversation just about Black culture in general. But let's kick this off this week with the Derek Chauvin verdict. Um, I think applauses across America. If I had an applause track, it would be playing throughout this entire
Definitely.
broadcast because,
Amen.
yeah,
Amen.
absolutely. Because here's the thing. Um, I think for a lot of people, they particularly saw this as a win. I think for a lot of white people, they saw it as a win. I think for America and the world in general, everybody celebrated. And I think what better time for that to happen than 420? You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
would smoke to that shit too. What about you?
Okay. Puff, puff,
Or some
pass.
kind of libation. You know what I mean? Something, some kind of libation, some kind of, some kind of inspiration that's going to help you just kind of just celebrate what's happening in this country. It's a shift. It's a
Yes.
change. Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all three charges, including manslaughter, which in my mind, I didn't have a doubt that he would be convicted on that one because of what Minnesota says that is eligible to be charged that particular charge. So I thought that he would be definitely found guilty on that one. But the other two, I was kind of suspicious. But in kind of hearing each one of the jurors when the judge basically verified, is this your vote? Is this your answer? Is this whatever it is? Just kind of hearing the voices and connecting with that energy. I kind of was like, yeah, that's why the district attorney, the attorney general, the prosecution did a very, very good job of criteria and selecting the appropriate people that would not um belabor this. Let's this is the nail in the coffin, and this is what we got. Do you have any thoughts on the verdict or the trial itself? Did you see any of it?
I think it was a win for America. I think we made an example out of him, and I think the cops are going to think twice now because something has happened. Something has been done about it. So I think they're definitely going to think twice before they try this again. I'm not saying they're not going to try it again, but I think they're going to think twice next time. We definitely needed this. We needed this for them to see. We needed America to wake up and see. So I felt amazing about that.
So do
Definitely
you
a
think
win.
do you think that America is going to see, or do you think Minneapolis police? Because that's a little bit of a microcosm scenario, because you have these rural countries, I'm sorry, these rural cities in this country where
Hmm.
they don't exactly subscribe. They don't have that same level of diversity. And I think about Ahmaud Arbery. He
Right.
he doesn't have the same level of diversity as there is in Minneapolis. So what do you think about that?
I think I'm still going to say it's a win for America because something has been done. Something is better than nothing. It is a step forward. I think that more people are going to take the time out and pay attention. This this is something that has to be brought to everybody's attention. I don't think it's anybody who's going to be like, "Oh, it can't happen to me," or anything like that. I think it's going to wake up everybody. I do.
Hmm.
I believe.
Okay, I hope so. Well, listen, as a part of this whole waking up trend that's happening right now with police brutality against black bodies, the Justice Department has just launched an investigation into the Minneapolis policing practices. Now, according to NBC News, they opened a civil rights investigation for the department today, less than 24 hours of getting that jury. The investigation will determine whether the police department engages in pattern or practices of policing that violates the constitutional and federal rights. So when we look at what's happening, they're going to look into whether police use excessive force, including during protests, engaging in discriminatory conduct, and they'll also examine whether their treatment of people within behavioral problems follows the law. I think that's a particularly under this administration. I think if it was the last administration, I would be a little nervous. But I think
Hmm.
that we have power players in place right now that are going to at least make this a something that's worth investigating. And I hope that that suit follows across the country. What do you think about the
I'm
investigation?
I'm confident in it. I think the investigation right now it needs to happen, but I feel like the people who are doing it are the people that we need to do it.
Right.
Now, are they going to figure out everything right now? I don't think so. It's definitely going to take time, but moves are being made. So something's going to be done. Everything's
Absolutely.
going to be uncovered.
Yep. I think so too. I think so too. Moving along to that, the unfortunate incident that happened in Columbus. Um, just to kind of read about this was kind of a little bit upsetting to me. But Micaiah Bryant received 4 shots in the chest because, apparently the police. Just kind of paraphrasing this, the police received a call, and
Mm,
apparently the original call is that there was a female on their property that was causing some mischief, and she was putting her hands, quote unquote, on another person that was there. The
mm,
police show up. There's all kinds of chaos. And the last footage that we see from the cop was about this girl who has a knife and appears to go in to stab this other teenager. Bam, 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 bam. The cop unloaded on her in her chest, right? You see
mhm.
some guy kicking a kid. You see, just all kinds of chaos. I think that when you call the police, you can't be acting as if you're one of the perpetrators because they don't know who. Like
Right.
there's no video chat that comes in when you call 911.
Hmm.
None of that is received. So if you're calling the cops, you want to make sure that you were doing everything in your power to diffuse the situation. Now, I'm not saying this is a blanket thing because sometimes
Hmm.
when they're getting two-pieced, you don't want to avoid, any kind of potential injuries that could happen to you. But in that instance, she fucked up. The parents fucked up.
It was a bad situation, but at the same time, we're not the professionals. We're not the ones who know how to handle the situation. That's why we're calling you. And I feel like if you come out 10 cars deep, you have a big enough squad to handle people without killing them and shooting them. Like you should be able to
Right.
restrain these people. You're sending all these supposedly professional people out here to mandate the situation, to handle the situation. We should be able to do it without death happening. If that's the case, we can just shoot them ourselves. We don't even need to call you. We
That's
can just
true.
handle the situation how we want to handle it. You're supposed to step in, diffuse the situation, and we get the best outcome. That's what I feel. If that's the case, why call them?
Hmm. Why call him? That's a loaded question for this community. And tonight we're talking about black culture. Everybody, that's a loaded question for us to call the cops. When in my mind, like we don't know all the details, and I don't want to make assumptions. What I do see is that
Hmm.
there were a bunch of teenagers. There was a young lady who was 16, 15, who had a knife, who went in to stab someone. I didn't hear the parents. I didn't hear any adults say, stop, 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 stop. I
Right.
didn't hear any of that. What are you doing? I didn't see
Mhm.
anyone try. I saw them participating in that kind of dysfunctional behavior. So when I think about some of the things that we could have done before 911 is involved, I think
Mhm.
that the logical people, the responsible people in that scenario, I don't know what happened before, but in that clip, I didn't see enough happening from the adults.
No, and
Now,
they didn't
yeah,
do everything they could have, but death should never come from calling the police. That's how I feel. Like if it's unavoidable, then maybe so. Like if we're shooting bullets at them, they're trying to protect themselves and their team. But I mean, come on, it's enough of them to step in, diffuse the situation without it always ending in death and violence.
yeah,
Because
absolutely. I agree.
we could handle it like that on the streets ourselves.
Okay. Right, because you know what? I remember back in the day. I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm 40.
27.
Okay, well, I got a little time on you, but back in the day when we used to get go back and play in the street when before the lampposts went out, shit like
Mm-hmm.
that. We used to play double dutch in the street and kickball and all of the shit that people used to play. We didn't have to go through all of that.
No.
I think there was some kids that would probably bring a knife and some shit like that, but you I came up in the 80s and you at least had the opportunity to have some adult that would see shit like that and attempt to diffuse it. I'm
Right.
not saying everybody because the 80s, crack cocaine and a whole lot of people probably would have been out
Mm-hmm.
there fighting with your ass too. But
Mm-hmm.
in a normal, healthy sense, for the most part, you didn't really see that level of dysfunction and chaos. So I
Right.
don't know what the shift has turned into, what's occurring right now. Do you see a lot of, specifically speaking about how, and we're going to get into this topic, which, we're kind of going to segue a little bit, but do you see that there's a lot of, um, adults just in your age group? Do you see that there's a lot of adults that's even trying to get involved right now? Or are they putting themselves on these kids level?
They're definitely on this level, and I feel like social media has a lot to do with it. It's all about who's young popping and still looking good for their age and still in with the crowd and still, just in the mix. It's a lot less parenting going on. And it could be because we had them so young. I mean,
Mm,
I had my first one when I was 16. So
okay.
I was still learning myself. And I feel like that plays a part in it as well. And
Mm,
a lot of people don't want you to tell their kids anything because that's a fight in itself. If you tell somebody else's kid something, that's a problem right there. So I feel like a lot of
right.
people is like to each his own. Hey, handle your kid. I'm gonna handle mine. Don't tell my kid anything. I won't tell your kid anything. And I feel like it's a big division right now. So
Right.
everybody's just out for self, and you can't get anywhere
Wow.
like that if we're
Absolutely.
not even protecting each other. I mean, why would the police want to protect us? We don't even stand up for each other half the time.
Hmm.
So that's how I'm feeling. I
Yeah,
feel
that's a
like
good
we need
point.
to realize that it does take a village to raise these kids. We can't do it by ourselves. And at some point, we need to step in and realize that we need to go back to our roots and start from home. Let's start back at home and then watch the community change. We need to be willing to make that change ourselves first.
Absolutely. Okay, so we got a couple of comments that came in that we want to address. Garen says he's taken aback from the incident because there were already multiple officers on the scene, and he responded first with his firearm, which is, as we say, there's more coming to the story. I don't like to make judgments. I like to just kind of have a conversation on what we see and have a bigger conversation about it. But when we think about, um, I mean, how did the incident? If there were already cops on the scene, how the hell did they get? How the hell did they get out of whack? That's crazy. That's insane. It's kind of one of these things where it's like, Okay, we back. Did I drop for a second?
Good job.
I don't know what's happening today. I swear I can't get through one of these things without technical issues. But it's, to me, it's kind of one of these things where, for the most part, we definitely want to be able to, make sure that we get to what we got to go. So, um, Kelsey, are you there? All right, everybody, we're going to
I
take
can
a
hear
little bit of
you.
a break. You can't hear me? I'm not muted.
I can hear you.
Okay. But can you cam up? Okay, gotcha. All
Okay.
right. So let's just what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna go into our next topic, and try to see if we can figure this out. All right, people, give me 1 second. Or should we just jump right in? Yeah, let's just jump right into the next one. Um, all right. So tonight we are talking about Black culture, everybody. This topic, as I was saying in the beginning, is definitely one of these scenarios where, um, you know, I think that we should have these conversations, right? They are very, very important. I think that we're at a time and place in history right now where we got to be able to have these appropriate conversations in order to grow the culture, kind of grow the movement. And I think it looks different for every generation, which you're going to kind of get into in a second. But what do you think in 2021 with racial unrest, with all of these other different things that's going on right now? What do you think Black culture is in 2021?
Black culture is us protecting our culture right now. I think we're creative, we're developing new things, we're having brands, we're just stepping out, being entrepreneurs, being our own people, being our own bosses, just taking care of Black people right now. I think that is Black culture at its finest. Everybody is educating themselves, figuring out how to work for themselves, not be suppressed. And I think Black culture is on the rise.
Hmm.
And I also think that, like, we're stepping forward and we're changing things. We're letting them know that, hey, we're not on the back burner anymore. We're what's happening right now. Black culture is doing its thing right now. We're a force to be
Okay.
reckoned with.
All right. And so do you think that happens on what level? Do you think that happens on just social justice levels? Because I know right now, in terms of like Black women opening businesses, doing things like that, I think that's progress. But is that really progress? Because you got
Yes.
people out there like Kevin Samuel saying you're wrong for that, and y'all are destroying the community. You're destroying the Black culture and blaming women for that.
Okay.
So what do you say about that?
I think we got to find a happy medium because women should step out and start being their own boss. But then we can't complain about taking care of men and, not having that strong Black male figure, nobody to match our level. That's a really iffy topic that we're tiptoeing on right now because I feel like I want to have my own things going for me. I like making my own money. I like being a boss. But at the same time, I don't want to diminish the male ego.
Mm.
And I still want that male leader. You know, I don't mind submitting, but give me something to submit to, you know? And I think that we need to be able to move forward, but do it in a respectful manner. Like we don't have to diminish the male role just
Right.
because we want to be powerful and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
If we could do it together, that would be awesome.
Okay. So Charles says good answer, by the way. I think that's fantastic. Charles, shout out to everybody, shout out to Charles Key. Charles, brother. Um, this whole dynamic of the technical difficulties, this is why I need a budget. This is why I need a budget. So we working on some things. And we got trolls too, as we can see. I love trolls. You'll keep it going. But you know what? I think that is a really good way to just sort of break down where we are. Black culture to me is hip hop. When I say hip hop, I think that hip hop represents the best of us and the worst. It's a mirror. There is no other industry, because I think hip hop has become very industrialized, by the way, and I'm glad. I think it sucks that we don't own it. I think we sold it to corporations. I think that we are such a dynamic community that I think that we can really take that and monetize it. But now we got to transform that hip hop shit into something else, because hip hop touches all of these essential industries. If you think about it, arts and entertainment, um, commerce in terms of your clothes, your jewelry, your fragrance. When Jay put Cristal, that shit went off the shelves, right? So hip hop is a influencer that I think that social media could never touch. It is the biggest social media imprint that I think this country has ever had, and we try to nuance it into something like this, but this is not really what it is. It's our community, it's our media, it is our education in many ways. It touches so much that I really think that in order for us to kind of take back that power, it's all about capitalizing off of that. It's all about capitalizing off of the pride that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? And you're right. It is the strongest marketing ever to exist. I think it's the strongest marketing ever to exist because it is about us. It is our stories. It is our lessons. It is our lives. And I think that it is a big representation of who we are. And I think that, I mean, kind of just playing the lines, you got people like the baby, who is kind of represents the youth. You got people like NBA YoungBoy that represents a particular demographic as well. That's where a lot of these kids' mindset is at. He's not creating anything new. He's just representing how a lot of ninjas feel. You know what I'm saying? You look at
Yes.
Cardi, you look at Meg, you look at Lauryn Hill. You know what I'm saying? There's even though there's so many different examples, whether it's historical, whether it's current, there's so many other different dynamics that we can put into hip hop, and we can raise and elevate it and say it is a mirror of the culture today. Garen says Black culture has changed and evolved over the decades, but Black culture is beautiful, forever changing. Our politics, our energy, our language, our comedy and music, and so much more. And Charles says we need to learn, self-fund, and grow from it, and basically grow it ourselves and for ourselves. That is where financial literacy begins, and I totally agree with that. You know, I think that they're all great
Yes.
dynamics for us to be able to learn and not really take it so hard, hardcore when it comes to that. In terms
Mhm.
of now, see, here's the thing. You mentioned you're 26. You're 26.
27.
2027. Okay,
27.
I'm 40. I got you by a few years. I got you.
Yes.
What do you think that my generation, probably prior generations, I'm probably sure your mother's a little bit older than me, your father's a little bit older than me. Um, what role do you think we both play in advancing Black culture?
Okay. I think just giving us some knowledge, just tweaking what we do a little bit. Even like parenting skills. My mom never completely like try and change how I do things, but she'll always just throw in a little advice, just being there for us a little bit more, just guiding us, just basically advice that y'all can give us.
Hmm.
Just show up and be the OG figure that we need.
So, what kind of advice
Just
are you looking for?
I'm saying like we don't always have to down the generations like, oh, all they do is shoot up each other. You know, like the community centers, open up community centers for the youth. Take them back to how it used to be. Open up the basketball parks and everything. Like when the summer's out, we can have summer camps, have the kids active, involved in everything. Keep them busy,
Right.
keep them out the streets, basically. They just need that guidance.
Do you want us to keep
And I
y'all off
feel
the
like,
street?
no, not me. Don't keep
Okay.
me off the street, but if we start at a younger age, like, okay,
Right.
I have a brother who's
Hmm.
17. I feel like he has entirely too much time on his hands. If he's not in school, he's always out. What are you out doing? You're not working or anything. I feel like he has so much empty time to get into trouble. I feel like we need to have something going on. We just need to keep our kids busy. Just something.
I think it's
Anything.
more than being busy. I think it starts with programming. The way that I see us as people in general is we're all little figures of information. We store everything that comes into our
Mm-hmm.
purview, everything that comes into our experience, which is why you may have a kid who's 2 or 3 years old that has to stick their finger into that socket. They know damn, like, come on, like, you know, what
Mm-hmm.
is it go like? How instinctively is it that they know that shit is they're not supposed to put their finger out of all the shit that's around? Why are you going to the electric socket and trying to stick your tongue and your finger in the damn socket? Because they know it is something instinctive about that these kids know that I have to experiment with it.
And they're in compulse control.
Yeah,
It's just, it's crazy. They have no
right.
impulse control at all.
Well, and I think that's a part of testing out that instinct. If you don't have an adult that is responsible,
Mm-hmm.
smart, um, coherent, aware, conscious, um, and you just push these kids out because you got a uterus, or you can shoot a couple of, shoot the club up. That doesn't make you a parent.
Right.
It's, I think you what you've been able to master from your journey, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
is what separates the OGs and how we can take that knowledge and we can frame shit and separates that from the younger generation, the generation like yourself that's up and coming. Because I got to say,
Mm-hmm.
we failed y'all and we didn't give you the tools that you needed. And in order
And
for
I
us
think
to
we
be able,
leave too early.
yeah, yeah,
I think we leave home too early as well. Like I feel like I know it for a fact with my kids, I don't want them to leave and start renting, getting in debt and just running up their credit and all kind of stuff. I want to keep them at home. I want to let them learn from my mistakes. I want to
right,
have that guidance for them. I want my mistakes to be what they learn from. I want that to
absolutely.
be a motivating factor for me to kind of help break these generational curses.
Hmm.
I feel like that's what we need to start doing more. 18 doesn't have to be.
I think that the younger generation also has to definitely take a look at what they could do as well. I think accountability is a conversation that just doesn't really happen a lot with anybody. Why aren't we having the dynamics of what it means to be a person who takes some level of accountability for your actions, for your decisions, for your thought process, for your emotions? We got to check in with people a lot. I would love for us to be able to be at a point in society where we kind of really sit down and kind of figure those things out, where we kind of navigate what does it mean um, to really hold yourself accountable. What does that look like? What are you comparing yourself to? Because if you don't have anybody to compare yourself with, if you don't have anybody that is, a good role model, a good example, you got to go out and find those people. They're not going to come to your door and say, "Hello, I'm a good Samaritan." That doesn't happen that way. So I think that, um, you know, don't shut down these kids' curiosity when it comes to the world. When it comes to the world, I think you got to really help frame that curiosity for these kids. Because I don't know about you, I was a kid that was asking all kinds of fucking questions. Ma, what's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? But my mother did something, and I thanked her for that. About maybe 4 years ago, I said, "Ma, thank you, because all of these times you told me go look it up, I actually went to go look this shit up." So it gave my mother never really shut down the curiosity. She didn't want to deal with it, but she didn't want to deal with it because she did not have the answers herself. So instead of her telling me, "Don't ask me questions," yeah, she told me to shut up a couple times because she an OG. She did what she did. But at the end of the day, the consensus of that message was not to shut down the curiosity and to nurture it with information. whether it was to taking me to the library, or maybe allowing me to watch certain things on TV, allowing me to read certain things in the Bible or the encyclopedias and all of the shit that we had coming up in the 80s and 90s. She never really shut that down. So to moms that are like that encourage your kids' curiosity, you frame your kids' curiosity, but you got to educate yourself too. Because if your kid is asking you something that you may not necessarily know, that you may not necessarily have an answer to, you need to be right there reading that with them. Don't send them off to a room. That's just like giving your kid a phone and not having a parental control on it. What are you doing? How are you furthering your knowledge? Because don't you have a responsibility to continue that journey with your kid? That's what I'm saying. That's what it's all about, That's what that shit is all about. Garen says a new generation should bridge the gap from where the OGs has it on their shoulders. I think that's a very good point. The OGs should provide history and a safe place to be who they are. I think that's an even bigger question, because who are we? We are a people that is, we have our issues, but we're going through life with no prior identity because it's been stolen. The only form of identity that we have in this country is our lineage to the people that came before us, right? I wouldn't say they're slaves. These people were prisoners of war. Many of us were already here. Let's connect with those roots and get a little deeper into that conversation. And the new generation should put their footwork in and the grind, which is also a very good point. I think there's a lot of individuals that are out there that don't necessarily have that drive. They don't necessarily have that hustle. And so that's what we got to move to. We got to move to a space with these young kids where they understand that they're not going to be able to get everything from their iPhones. It's all about that grind. It's all about that hustle. That's what it's about. So while she's taking a break here, I'm just going to jump into this next topic. How much does music influence culture? And I mentioned hip hop. Hip hop is a very brilliant, broad, dynamic way of celebrating our culture. I can't help but think about when Cardi and Meg performed on the Grammys, and you had a lot of people that were, I don't know what they thought, what they were going to see, because when Meg and Cardi came out, it was very, very provocative. They've never come out in nun suits. They've never come out in parkas performing. So when they came out and they provocative dance and all of that stuff, I really don't even understand how we got upset as a country, as a culture. They just doing what they do. These people are doing what they do. And it has some level of influence. We're talking about someone who is from a strip club background, and we're talking about someone who had a grind in Houston, who actually is in college right now, opening up her goal is to open medical facilities. I think that we really got to have a holistic conversation around music and influence, because one of them was influenced by strip club culture and brought that to the music game, and the other one was influenced by the hustle. Both of those are very much a part of our communities. But to say that, oh, well, it's they shouldn't have been doing that on network television, they shouldn't have been doing it, I don't know. I can't really relate to that because I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great show. I thought it was a good show, but I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you don't have kids. Well, my kids will be asleep at 10 o'clock at night. If I had teenagers, then chances are they probably would have already seen the shit. So, they would see it when they go to TV. You can't police everything. You can't police everything. I don't think that culture and music, it should be separated because one of them is a reflection of the other. I think music does influence Black culture. You have a lot of people that look up to a lot of these artists. They want to be like them. They want to emulate them. But I think the question becomes, if one of these artists has a bad image They have a bad reputation. They have a bad just whole brand about themselves. You got to ask yourself why your kid's interested in that. Why are you interested in that? What does it? I mean, is it living vicariously through someone else? I don't know. If it's fantasy, it's fantasy. Okay, that's healthy. Everybody got to have some sort of outlet or whatever. But you know, I don't really think I don't. If you're taking it too far by actually becoming what you think these people are, then yeah, that requires a different conversation. But at the end of the day, we're not a monolith. You got all kinds of people that represent this community, and it ain't about beliefs. It's about this because this is connecting us. This is our vibe. This is what we do. You know, this is what we do. This is who we are. And you may not like the messaging, you may not like the premise, you may not like any of these other attributes, but I got to tell you, this is the most dynamic community to be a part of. This is why it was in some ways commercialized. It's become a corporate entity because there's value. Somebody else sees the value. Otherwise, they wouldn't want. Why would you think they would want to participate in it? They don't know anything about this. They only know about what's being brought to them. They can product and commercialize it to where it makes sense for them to be able to capitalize and make money off of it. But they're making money off of who we are. Who we are is good enough. Who we are is appropriate. I don't know, definitely something to think about on that. Moving on to have prior generations failed us, which is kind of what we talked about for a little bit. I'm gonna say yeah. I think at every sort of instance we dropped the ball, and we have to be able to get to a point where we understand, what we're up against, where we are, and what they've left what these prior generations have left for us to deal with. But before we get too deep into that, I want to circle back. Kelsey, because I took a moment to elaborate on how much does music influence a Black culture, and I talked about how hip hop culture has really influenced us. Do you think that media at all influences Black culture?
Definitely, 100%. From the way we dress, the way we talk, to our jobs that we pursue, how we move, even the way our dialogue is. Black culture influences everything. Everything. Just down to even the whole a boss thing. Like everybody wants to be a boss because that's what the celebrities portray. Being a boss means that you've made it. You're up there. So yes, definitely. It influences
Hmm.
how we move, everything we do.
Well,
Even from the little kids, they want to walk like Cardi, talk like Cardi. The other day, my little girl, I asked her to clean her room. She was like, I don't cook and I don't clean. But let me tell you, I got this ring. I didn't know what to say. I
well,
was
how
just
does she
like,
hear it? How does she hear it? And does she
it's
even
me, so I can't
understand
even
the
get mad. Like all I can do is
implication?
stop. She
Does
doesn't.
she?
All she put together is cooking and cleaning and the fact that I told her to clean her room.
So what kind of conversation did you have with her after you heard that? Can you hear me now?
I let her know that,
Yeah.
yes, I can hear you. I
Okay.
let her know that's not what we do. That's not what we say. I was like, Mommy shouldn't have let you listen to that. Don't listen to that. She was like, I didn't say a curse word. It's not about you saying a curse word. Disrespectful because they label not being able to say it because it's a bad word. But I wanted her to realize she didn't say a bad word. It's just the context that she's using it. I didn't like it. It wasn't respectful. Don't do it. And I didn't like,
Hmm.
oh, don't ever say that again. It's my fault that she even heard it because I'm sitting in the kitchen jamming and cooking and she's right behind me jamming and doing her thing. So
Right. That's what I
I
was
took the L
saying.
on that one.
People pick up people are sponges. People say kid. We were saying kids in context, but people are sponges. The environment that we
Definitely.
live in is all information, and so you'll pick up your daughter will pick up. People pick up things subconsciously. And even though your daughter may not necessarily understand the context, or maybe she does, because
Mm-hmm.
people are smarter than what we give them credit for, especially children. But I think that if we're looking at how she's able to associate that at 4, can you imagine
Mm-hmm.
what because this is her introduction. This is all her introduction into life.
Yes.
And can you do you can you well, two questions. Do you think that she's going to take that and develop her sense of worth around that? Or do you also think that she's going to kind of say, okay, well, yeah, that was foolish? How do you think that's going to go?
I think it's all about my reaction to it. I feel like if I laugh it off and make her think it's cute, I think she's gonna continue to do it. I think she's gonna, oh well, let me see what else I can learn. They think that's cute. Like when kids say something or they curse or something and we laugh it off, they just think it's, oh, that was funny. Let me keep doing that. But I think by me telling her that's wrong, she's gonna be like, okay, let me let me think about that, or at least not do it in front of me. Because I mean,
Right.
I can only control what I see. So that's how I feel about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so to I originally started the conversation on have past generations failed us, and we kind of touched on that a little bit with the OGs versus the newer generation, but to kind of take
Hmm.
it even back before that, when I look at just to kind of just jump into the whole history mode right now. I don't want to bore you all to death with history, but I'm just going to try to keep it relevant right now. We're going to go back to MLK, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Jesse Jackson, people like that. Do you think that their mode, their idea of thinking around integration, because MLK even said he think that we basically integrated into a burning house. Was that a failure, or is it we needed to kind of pick up his where he left off, because we failed at that, and really just took it to a whole nother level because there was no follow-up plan.
I feel like we didn't have a follow up plan. I think we listened and we heard him, but we didn't really understand him. We didn't take it and put forth the work and move forward to continue what he was doing. I feel like they failed us a little
Hmm.
bit, but people only know what they're taught. I mean, we're just learning about a lot of things now. And whenever we were integrated and we were allowed to go to schools with them and everything, I feel like that was just to control what we learned. Because when we were separated in homeschool, we can learn our real history. We can learn about what the black people actually did for us. But when you integrate us and you put us with the white kids, now you control what you teach us. You control what our kids learn. You control what they don't learn. So I feel like that was a power move for them. That didn't really take us further. Now you just control what I read in my textbook. You control what I go home and learn for homework. That was just another control mechanism. I don't find that pushed us forward at all
Well,
because you only know what you're taught. And if you're taught what they want you to know and not what you need to know, you can't really fail because it's not your fault. You just have to be able to take a step further and go out, branch out, and learn things on your own. Always know that you don't know everything. Always
yeah,
question everything. Because if they told it to you, 9 times out of 10, they didn't tell you the whole story. So just be willing to go learn on your own
that's true.
and try and
You know,
help the next generation.
absolutely. I mentioned that about curiosity because even like you mentioned, um, nobody knows everything. I mean, people only going to tell you number one based on what they can remember, based on how they can, because everybody's not a teacher, based on their capacity to teach, and based
Hmm.
on their capacity to see things objectively. Those would make an effective teacher, and I think that's what makes effective parenting. I think that if we're going
Yes.
to look a little deeper into this as it relates to um, you know, past generations and things like that. Um, we have so many people to pull from. You have a progressive way of viewing. You have people that are much more conservative because, particularly back then during civil rights, most black people were very, 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 probably 95% of black people were very conservative. Few people were like Malcolm X.
Mm-hmm.
Most people were like MLK, but they did not like that he was challenging the establishment because people didn't give a fuck about any one of them back then. But the failure to me comes from, yes, they did not have a next step action. It was so intertwined. Black people, were very, we weren't as revolutionary as we are now. So we don't have that that warrior mentality that we have right now because it was just it was unforeseen. All people have ever seen was just segregation and separatists and being beat down physically. Not to say that that's not happening right now, but you can pretty much drive around the country. Now you could be killed if you go into some of these places in larger number. Sunset towns definitely still exist, but not in comparison to what they were back in the 60s and 50s. So definitely something else.
Right.
Okay, so let's get into this because this is what I wanted to talk to you about. This is what we came back and forth, and this is why you're here, Kelsey.
Okay.
Wow. Do black people have a responsibility to carry ourselves a certain way in public? And I asked that question for the ladies who wear these tacky ass bonnets. Unacceptable. Take that shit off. Go put on some clothes and conduct yourself like a lady. Instead of like you just rolled out of bed, you haven't taken a shower, but you got on Gucci this, Gucci that, you got on the house slippers. Oh, they got heels on them, so I guess that makes them better. But the whole furry shit, it's a problem. First of all, your man don't. I know I'm not your man, but I'm your brother. I don't want to see you looking like that around me in public. I don't get you because that to me, you're buying into the narrative.
You don't want to see it until Kim Kardashian has it on and she has Dior written on hers or Gucci on her bonnet. Then it makes it okay.
That's not true.
Who said bonnets are just for the house? Like that's like
Kim Kardashian would never do.
If you're not going to yoga, you can.
Kim Kardashian would never do something so lazy.
It would be acceptable.
She would never do something so lazy.
Our slides. What do you mean?
I'm talking about the bonnet.
That wasn't cute until the bonnet. Now, I'm not going to wear the bonnet, but I'm not going to tell my sister she looks tacky. I'm going to tell her how beautiful she looks if she doesn't have the bonnet on. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. You don't have to say things to put us down. You can say things to lift us up. You don't have to call it tacky. You don't have to say, oh, that's ghetto, that's hood. You don't have to do all that. Because that fashion is of the beholder. Like, you can't say, oh, that's tacky and that's law. No.
That's not true.
No. That's your perception of it.
Okay, well, this is why this is the Brian Reveal Show. I think that when we look at, okay, first let's go back to Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian would never do something so lazy. The other thing is that I don't really see it as tearing it down. I think we all have constructive criticism that we put on people in general. Yeah, she's my sister, which is why I know she could do better. I know she could do better. I know she can comb her hair. I know she can put on appropriate clothes. I know she can take care of herself in a way that I don't know if she was raised that way, but why don't we try a new way? Why don't you start?
That goes back to
the whole thing with
what you're being taught. If her mama and her grandma went to the store and walked around in that bonnet, she's not going to think it's tacky. She's going to think it's
she don't see most other women with one. Okay, so I think for me the clue, and I'm all for self-acceptance. But I think there's a level of pride when it comes to looking and having this right here. I think that's the
issue. We always got to be 10 steps ahead. We always got to try 10 times harder just to get the same respect as our counterparts.
No,
it's not right.
Not in that instance. It has nothing to do with juxtaposing the Black experience to someone else or something else or another group of people. We stand on the shoulders of greatness, and to leave your home looking a mess, looking disheveled, looking like you don't even own a comb, that's a problem. That is a problem.
No, not all of them do that. Not all of
Most
them.
of them.
Some of them are dressed and they just have a bonnet on. Okay, like the
Okay.
picture you posted.
Yeah,
Okay, this is where the conversation came from. They were in the
absolutely.
airport. They had on like sweatsuits and a bonnet, and they had their luggage. What was so inappropriate about the bonnet
It was tacky.
with their sweatsuit?
The sweatsuits, okay. I'll give you a pass on the sweatsuits. I don't have a problem with sweatsuits. I do have an issue with those
Okay.
bonnets. I got an
Mm-hmm.
issue. And most men have an issue. For example, Iyanla Van Sant just did a show on a few days ago, Saturday. She said, "Don't be walking around your man looking like that." Now, if I don't want to see my woman like that, if I care about the sisters in this community, you gotta, I don't want to see you like that. And it has nothing to do with misogyny.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do with elevating you to who I know you could be as a woman. And if your mother failed you, we got to put her
Okay.
ass on the chopping block too, because she knows better than that. Now, I want you to go back and look at all of those pictures
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. You may have seen these women with their hair pulled tight, their hair done. They didn't have the bonnets. They were not walking around town looking like that. It was the culture,
Mm-hmm.
it was the esteem for people to carry themselves in a particular way, which means that you were crisp, you were neat, your shoes will always shine. There is a pride in your appearance that I think that we're missing on. I think we're
Right.
missing that.
But how you're explaining to me now is how you can talk to the women. I promise you that will get by them so much better than that's tacky. That's ghetto.
Then
Because
tacky,
once you say that, that's it. The gloves are off. They're not even listening to what you're saying after that. They just
don't you
take it as
think
an
that's a
insult,
problem?
and they that is a problem. But I'm letting you know how they're listening to it. There's a
So they're
lot of things
listen.
that's a problem, but I'm telling you, delivery, the way you deliver something, can change the whole conversation.
Absolutely.
The whole conversation.
But I think people express themselves differently. And I don't want people to miss the message from the messenger or for the
Right.
tone. Because if you don't know me personally, you're not married to me, we don't have kids together, we don't pay bills, we don't own a business. I think that there's a level of a filter that I think that people in general have to be smart enough not to have that identification with the delivery. Focus on the words, focus on the message,
Hmm.
focus on the intention. Because if the intention is to enlighten, bring awareness, that's what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with, oh, well, he said this and he sounded this way. And I wonder
Hmm.
what he, that's that slippery slope thing is why people are stressed out and dying because they read too much in the shit. And communication is communication. It's varying the levels of it. But if you don't get sucked into it, then you'll miss the message. You will miss the message. So with that, we're going to close out with our last topic: Biden versus the black community. I have an issue with this brother. First of all, being a prior Republican until this past election, no, I am not a Trump supporter. And any of his philosophies to anybody who agrees with him. But I do think that I'm very disappointed with the fact that the Democrats have elevated this brother to be the candidate and now the president. I didn't have a choice but to vote for him because I am against Trump or anyone like him. I don't. I would never support them. That's what I mean. So his first 100 days in office, yes, I understand the pandemic, but according to him, because you have an administration, you could do so many things at once. He said day one, his Lift Every Voice campaign, specifically for this community, targeting this community, he said he would do something, illustrate something, create something, form something. What I don't. I'm clueless. I'm clueless. Now, this is the same guy who also, under his administration, has a Stop Asian Hate, right? Campaign, laws, different level of protections for that community. What's on the books for us? Day one. Stop Asian Hate wasn't around in January. So what we at? Biden? What we at? What are your thoughts, Kelsey?
I don't keep up with Biden. I really don't. I don't keep up with him. I am here for Camilla all day. But as far as the presidents, the whole campaign, I wasn't here for it. At that point, you lost me after Trump. I just I feel like it's a joke at this point. I mean, every day I am just striving to make sure I can provide for my kids with or without the government. You know, I'm out here trying to build generational wealth and move forward. But as far as keeping up with Biden, I do not. I do not keep up with Biden. I hope that he keeps his word and says that he's going to help our Black people because they have made him almighty in their eyes. So I hope he can live up to their expectations and move forward and make something great happen.
Absolutely.
But as far as me and mine, I don't keep up with Biden.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't keep up with him either. I don't think he's an interesting person. Has he done some things? Slightly. I don't think he's done anything to support the community that has consistently made sure his ass had a space. And I think that certain people are lazy because they're Democrats and they don't necessarily know how to really put the screws to these people in terms of this is what I mean, this is what I want, and this is what you must give me. And I think we've given Biden so many chances as a community with Obama, Anita Hill, the crime bill that he was an orchestrator of. There's so many different things that he's done that I think I wouldn't be surprised if he wasted the absolute last second just so he can get another term to do anything for us. And I would be surprised if there were executive orders and other policies to eradicate those things. I think he's a slug. I think he's a monster. And if y'all vote for this motherfucker again, you better put somebody else up there, Democrats. You think that what you got going on now is good. He's already, what else can he show you? I don't know. But that's all we got for today, everybody. This hour came and went very, very quickly, probably because I probably got one of the best co-hosts I've had in a very, very long time. Kelsey, thank you so much for coming on and being part of the night show.
I should have worn my bonnet.
Okay. Yeah, you should have. And I would have made you calm down.
I must admit,
yeah,
I'm here and I'm trying to stand up for these blonde women because I just want them to, not be tore down, but I'm not brave enough to step out with mine.
See? There you go. The proof, ladies and gentlemen, on that note right there. Kelsey, tell everybody where they can find you on social media. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media. Is there anything else you're working on? You want to
Miller. You can find me on Facebook. Oh, I go to work every single day. I am working on my boutique, Ray Jeans Fashions. That will be coming in June. Check me out. I will be on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on Snapchat. I have Shopify, and I will be launching soon. So
absolutely,
look out for that.
Well, I hope this visibility gives you every bit of success you're looking for. Anything that I could do to elevate and expand your platform. If you want to come back on, you're more than welcome to do so. I think you are an incredible co-host. And I just thank you for coming on today.
Oh, no problem. First time going live.
All right. And everybody, shout out to Kelsey. This is a very first time going live at all on social media. So I feel very privileged and proud that she was able to come here so I can put the screws to her.
Okay.
I hope it was painless. Everybody, enjoy your week. I will be back next week where we're talking about making money moves. I got a great brother that's about to come on next week. Hopefully he's watching. He's here. And we're going to really talk about ways that we can build wealth, straighten out credit, straighten out things, whatever you're concerned about, build retirement, talk about some of those things that are essential in making sure we close this wealth gap because we have the capacity, we have the ability, we have the fortitude, we have the strength, we have the notoriety, we have the strength, we have the brains, and we have the power to do so. With everybody tuned in right now, thank you so much. I want you to share this motherfucking live. Share the live. Also want you to follow me on Instagram, Brian Reveals. Follow my Facebook, which is The Brian Reveals Show. And also follow me on Instagram at Brian Reveals. Oh, I said Instagram. So YouTube. Follow me at Brian Reveals on YouTube. Everybody have a good night. And I'll see you next week, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central.
Good night.